Thanks for staying with us. I forgot to mention that today is my brother's birthday, Shegun Akabasharu.
Happy
The year older today. Happy birthday, bro. God bless you. Okay, let us start with the nation. Scarcity petrol ex-depot price rises to 178 naira to the litre. Oyetola leads supporters in 9.2-kilometer walk for Tinubu Shetima. OAU student's death, Oshun CJ fumes over Adedoyin's absence in court. Federal government deplores insecurity alert on Nigeria by US, UK, others. Agency plans upward salary review for Buhari, governors, and CG and others. Autumn Benue elders withdraw support for Atiku. Kogi Bayelsa Imo governorship polls fixed for November 11, 2023. And EFCC to go after lawyers, bankers aiding financial crimes. Okay, which story are we starting with?
EFCC is blowing hot, and they're saying it will no longer be business as usual for politicians who launder money through their lawyers, bankers, bank accounts managers, precious stone dealers, and other designated non-financial business and profession. And, you know, they had a meeting, an e-meeting with journalists while the chairman of the EFCC was, you know, saying all of this. And he said they're going to be probing all of these organizations through their Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, that's SCOM. And this is also under the newly enacted Money Laundering Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2022, which has been adjusted to, you know, attract and, you know, it's been expanded to cover all of these agencies that are being used for money laundering over the years. And he said that the commission had recorded over 2,701 convictions as of October 7, up from the 2,220 convictions recorded in 2021. And, you know, this is showing that, in all modesty, EFCC has been like the most effective and efficient agency so far. They are really going hard on all of these people. And they realized with investigations that most of these lawyers and bank accounts that are used, you know, so you have some clients who are using them. It's the lawyers that will be handling payments for children's school fees and all that. And people were asking, so how do you now differentiate the lawyers' fees from money laundering? And they said with investigations, they always have a way of finding out which one is fraudulent or not. Yeah.
Okay. Let me take the fuel scarcity story. So many of us have noticed in Lagos, Ogun State, that the queues have gone longer at the fuel stations. So according to the reports, what happened is that IPMAN is saying that NNPC depots don't have petrol. They don't have PMS at all. And they're having to depend on private depots to get fuel. And those ones are selling as 178 naira to the litre, when the NNPC depots actually sell 145 to the litre. That's how we're able to pay 165 at the pump price. But because the private depots are selling at 178, they can't but sell at least 200 naira to the litre. So that's why those who found fuel yesterday bought at 200 naira, and they're hoping that by today they will have more, that the NNPC depots will be open. But also report here from NMDPR is saying that he doesn't know what they're talking about, because there should be fuel. They have that Nigeria has about 1.5 liters of fuel that can sustain us for 24 days. So wow, he's surprised at what's going on. But IPMAN is saying there's no fuel in the Nigerian depots, that they have to now depend on the private depots.
The supply channel that is the
so there's obviously an issue. So we have a story here.
Yes, I have the RAMFAC story. So the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RAMFAC, the boss of that agency, which is, of course, in charge of salaries and remunerations of public office holders, was saying that, you know, it's overdue for their salaries are overdue for a review. Includes the office of the president, that of the vice president, and lawmakers, as well as judicial officers. I don't agree for the first ones, but I agree for that of the judicial officers for reasons best known to me. He was visiting the chairman of the Governors Forum, Aminu Tambuwa in Sokoto, where he mentioned that the last review for salaries of public office holders was done in 2008, and that since then they have not, you know, you can see. And he made his example, was of why I agree, is on the judiciary. He mentioned that, you know, he's seen judicial office holders, magistrates whose salaries are below 150,000 monthly. And that person is supposed to give judgment, and they say you should not collect from with the left hand. And, you know, he says that some of them, they don't have housing. That I can attest to some of my magistrate friends. They don't have transportation. They live under difficult conditions. And in those days, when you see a not even a chief, just one magistrate. There's always a police orderly with them. There's a driver. You know, they give them some form of status that, you know, at least keeps them away from this kind of temptations that come. But I like that his example was in the judiciary, and I believe that that review is long overdue.
I have a story that counters that a bit, but that will move on to Punch. So Punch, let me take that story now. Jumbo severance package. Buhari, Oshibajo, others to get 63 billion naira pensioners kick.
Well done.
Fuel scarcity grounds Lagos to Abuja commuters stranded. Masked gunmen abduct Lagos motorists in broad daylight. Lagos-Ibadan bridge joints reopen. Drivers slam Julius Berger. Bayelsa Imo Kogi governor polls hold November 11th. Duchess of Sussex excited over the 43% in Nigerian ancestry. British Prime Minister Sunak sets economic agenda. Flooding, FG plans intervention fund, 612 killed. Tinubu will be on fold agenda for women, Atiku absent. Okay, so, well, I was going to take the Ramfast story. What happened was that this was a private investigation done by Punch. Okay. So they went to the Ramfast website and saw all the packages that the leaders, our presidents, vice presidents, and according to them, said that the breakdown is that federal government would pay out 3.39 billion, while states will cover about 60 billion for pension for all our political office holders. Let me not go through the breakdown because it's a long list, but it's worth reading. But what happened is that they took it right from the website. Okay. So they could not be as accurate as it. If you actually call Ramfact exactly, they might find out that it might not be the exact numbers. But this person just went to the website and picked out the numbers.
Which website did they take?
Ramfact, the revenue.
Who imputed the data?
So according to the Ramfact, obviously, but the data was based on him calculating how much you get. Maybe, for example, you get 300% of your salary. Governors get 300% of their salary when they leave. They get new cars, I think, every 3 or 4 years. So they valued all that together, and with the essays, the deputy governor, not deputy governor, the governors, the vice presidents, and all the other honorable ministers, just put everything together and said, that's about the figure, 6-something billion. But it's worth looking at, and we'll see how that goes.
So once you're a governor, you're sorted for life.
I'm shocked that that chief magistrate still lives in a low-cost housing setup. I think a 2-bedroom. And he doesn't have, you know, the details usually attached to a sitting judge. And that person is so upright that I think he deserves an award.
Well, that's part of what we need to reduce the cost of governance. That's a key.
So focus on the important areas and do a balance. You know, the protest that led to the removal of the resignation of the former Chief Justice was about remuneration. Yeah. And even the new Chief Justice that came in, after he said they've settled it, admitted upon his appointment that the first thing he would do was do a review of that. Okay,
let's move on. It's not a hot topic today. Let's move on.
So we have masked gunmen reportedly abducted a yet-to-be-identified motorist. And this happened in Ikeja area around 8 a.m. So according to passerbys and witnesses, they said they attacked this man in the vehicle, asked him to come down from his vehicle. He refused. They showed him a gun. He refused. And then they brought out a cutlass and started cutting. And then he came down and followed him. And they took him, left the car, whisked him away. They were shooting sporadically into the air. And it's called Medical Road in Ikeja. This happened just yesterday. And, you know, passerbys, nobody, broad daylight, nobody could stop them. They said some young men tried to stone the people, but they were all maxed up, all heavily armed, and then they whisked him away for whatever reason. The police, the police is aware of this. They said the investigations have started. They are not going to give us any details, so it doesn't hamper or jeopardize the investigations ongoing. We hope that they are able to rescue this man.
So the potholes. So the Long Bridge renovations that was just done 2 months ago. Punch reporters have gone there to investigate. And there's a picture of what is there now. Maybe online, you should check online, on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That expansion, the boil joint, they counted 16 of those joints on the road that are presently potholes. They've degenerated into potholes. All the tires that were covering them have been washed off, peeled off. You know, when they started the road, the first tranche of that road that was done was from that area over the bridge into the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And presently, as it is now, it doesn't even look like the works were recently done on it. And this report is calling out the contractors, of course, Julius Berger, and there are different accounts of, you know, road users in the paper. One of them, a bus driver, who said that, you know, it's now even worse to drive on that road. I pray that, we have institutions that, check the works of contractors. They would also follow up.
So yesterday, the Women Radio had organized, Women Radio 91.7 FM had a Voice of Women, organized an empowerment foundation where they invited all the presidential aspirants to come tell us what they're going to do for women. And it was supported by the MacArthur Foundation. So the APC flag bearer, he wasn't there, but he was represented by his vice running mate, that's Kasim Shetima. And he said that their administration will be very friendly to women, and that for Nigeria to reach its full potential, they must give every person, a segment of the population, a fair chance, including women. And so that the growth of our economy and achievements of our nation and destiny rest on the equity and safeguarding the fundamental rights and decency of our society, including avoiding gender discrimination. Peter Obi was also there, and he also said that he reminded people that during his own cabinet, his deputy was a woman, that his chief of staff was a woman, and that he also had the commissioner for planning and local government affairs was a woman, that he also believes the importance of women in the coming administration, and for him, women are critical to the efforts to move the country forward. So both of them were there, but unfortunately, Atiku Abubakar was not there, couldn't make the meeting. Okay.
Yeah, so the federal government has developed a flood emergency preparedness and response fund, also known as the Flood Fund, to tackle funds by providing grants and loans to businesses, industries, and academia, among others. It's been in the news lately. I think I took it about 2 weeks ago. And they said the National Flood Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan for Nigeria has been outlined that they'll be getting most of these funds from the crude oil accounts, Federal Inland Revenue Service donations and endowments, among others. And, they are also going to be looking into different ministries to see how they can contribute into this fund. This is also going to be added to the ecological fund that states already have. So they went ahead to give us data of all the updates of all the flood situation in Nigeria. Said October 24, 2022, they had about 612 persons who lost their lives due to the disaster. That's about 3.3 million persons negatively affected by the flood and all of those data. But I wish that aside from just earmarking funds, they would have specific projects in flood-prone areas like we talked about that will help even avoid the flooding happening to the citizens in the first place.
Kanu, why we transferred 21 justice appeal, says appeal court. FG names building after the late Ikeazo SAN. FG deplores security alerts by foreign embassies. Senate, FG clash over multi-billionaire employment scheme. Nigeria ready to become global vaccine production distribution hub, says Buhari. I'll resign if anyone can prove I promised to make him my successor, says Wike. We won't support same-faith ticket support group declares. And Tinubu Obi others unveil agenda for women. Okay.
Buhari, since you smirked a bit, the president is presently in South Korea at the World Bio Summit 2022. And Nigeria has been selected by the World Health Organization as 6 of African countries to receive technical support to produce vaccines. And so he said that we're ready to take off, and he's also, through his spokesperson, called for the speedy takeoff of local production of the mRNA vaccines. And he also talked about how we are poised to, to pick up immediately to start to produce vaccines for malaria, Ebola, Lassa fever, and so many other endemic negative tropical diseases that are around the country. I believe that it's possible. I believe that, we have the scientists, because the moment the person crosses, any Nigerian crosses our borders to another country where technical support and funding is seen, you will see Nigerians thriving. So all we need to do is be serious here and do the right thing. And I hope that he keeps to his word.
Yeah. So the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, condemned what he tagged as unverified security alerts recently issued on Nigeria by certain embassies in the country. And that's happened a few days ago. He said that a lot of media outlets, media personalities were spreading security alerts without verifying its authenticity. And that caused a lot of consequences. Different places, especially in Abuja, were closed down. I particularly had a friend who was supposed to go to the embassy for his visa, but it was cancelled because they said they got a security alert and everybody was asked to stay back home. So he's saying that the media did not do well in this time around. They just had to post without verifying just because they were looking for clickbaits. And we need to begin to take responsibility for, you know, passing news across without verifying what is happening. And this is no longer acceptable. And so they had this UNESCO meeting with journalists where he was saying that the media needs to take more responsibility in, you know, passing their news across, basically.
So there was a bit of drama in the Senate as the Senate, through the Public Accounts Committee, launched an investigation into the public works program of President Buhari. If you remember, there was a time where they were going to pick out of 774 local government, pick, I think, 1,000 people to earn 20,000 across. Yeah. By that time, we were all talking about this. Well, government had earmarked 52 billion naira for that project. And so far, they've disbursed about 26 billion. Now, what happened was that when they were having a meeting to review, because it was coordinated by the NDEA, that's the Nigerian National Directorate of Employment, they were the one that coordinated this whole thing. The 7 senators present were saying that nobody in their constituency benefited, not one person. Yeah. So when others heard that, you to your own, nobody, you say all of it, me too.
So who did they now
give money to? They said they've launched an investigation to kind of find out. This 26 billion, yes, we're not giving the whole money. Well, 26 billion has been paid.
You need to know the people you gave.
Give the money to.
Money don't fly.
We'll see. But let's not assume money has paid. Let's believe the best that they will give us the list. So they ask for the names of the people and where the local governments, where they are.
Where it was transferred, yeah.
With our account numbers.
Ask for it. Hopefully they will get that soon. Moving on quickly to Vanguard. Let's assume the best.
We are assuming the best, but we can still exclaim in our local languages.
Vanguard. Tinubu Obaseko in war of words over breakup comment. Panic buying cause of petrol queues, says federal government. How arrested Kuje prison escapee triggered terror alert. WhatsApp restores service after Nigeria, UK, others experience outage. 2023 PWD's vulnerable groups constitute 70% of voters, says INEC. That's persons with disability and vulnerable groups constitute 70% of voters. Who are vulnerable groups? That's an interesting thing to find out. Revealed, and 43% Nigerians, says Meghan Markle. How oil thieves escape detection, says NPAMD. Court nullifies APC primaries in Rivers sacks candidates. And INEC to conduct Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi, Guba in November.
I wish you had that report. 70% is huge.
That's a lot.
If you are saying that the people who need assistance voting constitute 70%.
Well, you know, women are included in the vulnerable
groups. Are youth vulnerable groups?
Why did they do that kind of thing?
Yeah, but they include us in the
I need to know what constitutes.
Do you need assistance voting?
I think I read. Which story?
Well, I have the WhatsApp story. So WhatsApp has admitted that, yes, they had, you know, system collapse and that they are restoring their services in countries, Nigeria, the UK, and 12 other countries where they experienced this. I tried to read to see what details, but they did not say what happened.
That's all.
That's all.
So the story I took in The Sun about the security threats that the embassies had to issue Nigeria was triggered by an inmate of Kuje prisons amongst the 800 people that broke jail recently. And they said they found him. His name is Joshua John, age 32. They found him loitering around the embassy at about 10:30 p.m. on Thursday. And so that was what triggered this security attack. So the police had, picked him up. He's been arrested. Investigations are being launched to find out what exactly he was doing there and if he had any other plans to invade that place and do all of that. So, because of that was the reason the embassy had to quickly close shop and say, oh, yeah, everybody, you don't come, because if somebody who broke out of prison can be loitering around the embassy, we don't know what their plans are. But the government is investigating this particular person. Okay, so according to INEC, the vulnerable groups are the women, youths, IDPs, that's the people... youths are vulnerable? Yeah, yes, they're part of the IDPs and PWDs. They make up 70%. So only the men make up 30%, obviously. How are youths vulnerable? They're young now. They're young. How are women vulnerable? We're young. We're vulnerable. How?
We need to redefine this.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. So the vulnerable groups are comprised of women, youths, PWDs, and people in IDP camps. Okay.
Vulnerable. Okay. They can beat us as polling unit, have you?
All right. I was going to say that Meghan Markle was saying that she was at, I think she was making some kind of recording somewhere where she was saying that she's 43% Nigerian. I'm not sure how that helps.
They now do their DNA genetics.
Yes.
So she found out
through some.
She's our ancestral sister by some kind of,
she's welcome to our state, yo. This Osh Bebe comedian also found out recently that he's 96% American.
Wait, I'm not confused.
Who's that?
Osh Bebe, no way. I hope he's watching. I saw his post yesterday. It sounded so ridiculous.
Okay, let's move on quickly now to the Nigerian Tribune. Court nullifies APC primaries in Rivers. Atiku visits flood victims in Bayelsa. Police arrest suspected kidnappers, armed robbers with goods worth 25 million naira in Oyo. Why we transferred 21 justices. Lagos set up inquest to unravel cause of IVD's wife's death. Sunak meets King Charles III, assumes office as UK Prime Minister. All theft, rogue ships turn off identification service to avoid detection, says NPA-MD. Kogi Imo Bayelsa governorship elections hold November 2023. And Nigeria remains secure with us, APC replies of Baseki. This story we're starting with.
The MPA-MD, Mohamed Koko, was talking about answering media briefing on how these rogue vessels that are stealing our crude are able to escape. So he says that though they come in legally, but they go about their business, and when they finish, they shut down what he calls the automation identification system to avoid detection in Nigerian waters as they are going with our crude. So he said from intelligence, they bring in these vessels to steal crude and that they go out shutting it down. He then talks about the vessel traffic services, something that he says they need, that they are going to deploy. And in the same report, says that, they've been trying to acquire that VTS for about 10 years, but they only recently found a consultant they have identified to take up the process of this VTS. The thing not just gel, it just doesn't.
I have to take the story back in Punch, where the Lagos-Ibadan Bridge joints reopened, drivers slammed Julius Berger. So we got a message from the Director, Southwest Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Mr. Adedamola Kuti. He said that the expansion joints on the long bridge along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway are yet to be replaced. The nature of work carried out 2 months ago is a temporary measure to ease movement. The project as a whole is still ongoing, and when the materials for the joints are available for the replacement, road users will be informed. The long bridge is safe for public use. So those joints are there, but obviously they are where it's there, but it's still safe for public use, and they will be replaced very, very soon. So no cause for panic. So those of you that like to put in a front page headline, CEO that's broken. No? Yeah.